2020 is about to be over in 2 days. Well, tonight it counts as one day, but it's been a pretty terrible year in 2020 because of this stupid COVID thing. And I want to go over 2020 with a recap video reaction on titled 2020 Recapped Everything You Forgot Happened. Without further ado, let's get started.
Let's take a look back on what was the year of 2020. No good story goes without a little pre-story.
A terrible year.
On December 1st, the first case of SARS-CoV-2 virus is identified in China. You'll want to remember that virus as well.
China, which is where they forgot to shut down the country.
Zoltan Pozsar warned of possible financial doomsday within the money markets. The ball dropped on the new year. We woke up in January and nothing had happened. Now, that's not to say everything was smooth. Historic wildfires were raging in Australia. Never fear, though, a model offered nude photos to people and millions of dollars of donations came in. It was January 3rd when tensions heightened between the U.S. and Iran after a drone strike killed Major General Qasem Soleimani. 5 days later, a Ukrainian plane was shot down,
killing
176 people in Tehran.
Soleimani, come on, I don't care pronounce it.
World War III.
I'd rather have World War III than to have this stupid corona bullcrap. Or maybe not over corona.
Then on January 20th, we saw the first case confirmed inside the United States. The stock market did not care. New all-time highs in the market were near daily occurrence. Things seemed to calm down just a bit until Sunday, January 26th. That's when the world was shocked to find that basketball legend Kobe Bryant, daughter Gianna, and 7 other people were killed in a helicopter crash.
Yeah, rest in peace, Kobe.
That's the helicopter crash. An early spring, and the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl. So we played a great game out there, and we're just really happy to get the win. But you know, we forgot to mention that it was an election year. By February, President Trump and a whole host of Democrats were in full election mode. On February 5th, Trump was acquitted on articles of impeachment by the Senate. 3 days later, the first American dies from the virus in Wuhan. The virus continued to spread inside the U.S. in February. Twitter starts banning accounts.
It's everywhere now.
Once again, did not care. We're still hitting all-time highs. Then, foreshadowing that nobody would be safe in 2020, on February 18th, the Boy Scouts of America filed for bankruptcy. The stock market seemed to shrug this off at first, hitting a new all-time high on February 19th. But by this point, the virus had spread all over the globe, and on February 20th, the air started to come out of the tires. Dozens of virus cases are being reported in countries around the world.
You literally can't go anywhere if you're locked down.
After getting it on the Diamond Princess cruise ship. Then Neil Irwin writes a piece in the New York Times titled "Why the Stock Market Isn't Too Worried About the Coronavirus." The timing of the title probably wasn't the best. Investors collectively looked at each other and said,
at first, people were like not too worried. They didn't take it seriously until we lost lives.
Now cared about the virus. When you're 20% down, you get a bear market. On average, it takes 255 days to hit that. Between late February and mid-March, we hit that in just 20 trading days. On March the 2nd, Chris Matthews retired on air, and poor guy had to go in behind him. Okay, wow. Bet you didn't see that coming. We'll fill the next hour with just a bunch of commercials. Be right back. As with every market crash, it felt like the world might end. On March 11th, the World Health Organization said, you know what, I think we do have a pandemic. NBA player Rudy Gobert tests positive for COVID just days after he jokingly touched every microphone in an interview. The NBA season was suspended and Mark Cuban was shocked. Tom Hanks is positive. The NCAA canceled March Madness. And then on March 19th, a bunch of celebrities sang an off-key rendition of Imagine that nobody asked for. The next day, the Summer Olympics was canceled, and everybody stayed inside to bake bread and watch Tiger King.
I don't watch Olympics.
It was supposed to be uncorrelated, but it held hands with the market and crashed as well. Investors continued to sell stocks as Bill Ackman told us hell was coming.
Hell is coming, okay? And I felt, it's really, I've never had this experience before in my life. The closest I had was the financial crisis where I'm saying, things are coming, bad stuff's coming.
Sell everything. Get me out of everything. What is that? What are you talking about? Over there. This is Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. Under his leadership, the Fed took unprecedented actions to provide unprecedented liquidity to an unprecedented economic situation. Do you think we should care about that? No, we gotta keep selling. Are you sure he's shooting that bazooka a lot? Oh, you're right, we should probably start buying. The market bottomed on March 23rd and began to rise nearly as quickly as it had gone down. That day, signaling the bottom, was the day that Dave Portnoy
That's
announced
the
that I
lockdown
had become
month.
a full-time day trader. The airlines asked for bailouts, which they would get, and so did the cruise lines, which they wouldn't get. Most of all this was wrapped up in the CARES Act on March 25th, a $2 trillion package paying $1,200 to adults making less than $99,000. The first wave of the virus was in full force through April as the stock market continued to grind higher. It wasn't long before everybody was sick of the lockdowns and protests began. Oil futures went negative for the first time in
They
history.
protested
You could literally
about
get paid to buy barrels of oil.
police
So you had some
brutality
little
after
toilet paper
they
was
started
on prison contraband,
protesting
people had
about
to turn
open
to
schools
magazines.
and
And if we didn't have
bullcrap.
enough going on, the Pentagon decided we needed to see videos of UFOs. I mean, sure, why not? Soon we were in May. Warren Buffett had largely been silent up until this point, and then on May the 2nd, Berkshire held its annual meeting. Buffett had clearly been working on his PowerPoint skills during lockdown. He announced that he had given up on the airlines and was selling his whole lot. Davey the day trader called him washed up and bought the airlines as Buffett was selling. At least in the short term, Portnoy turned out to be right. May was a tough month to be in the clothing or gyms business. J. Crew, Neiman Marcus, John Barbados, Stage Stores, and J.C. Penney all filed for bankruptcy. Gold's Gym also filed, and 24-Hour Fitness was on the cusp. We weren't too concerned about them because murder
Everything's
hornets were now in
closing
the US.
down.
Memes
They're
and
all
big
going
cats were flying
bankrupt.
around as everyone expected a market crash, but our friend Jerome Powell just kept
Everyone's
shooting that
in
bazooka.
debt
If you're looking
because
for
of this
these
bull
memes,
crap.
you could find them on Jiffy or Giphy, however you say it, which was also bought by Facebook at the time for $400 million.
Jiffy.
Baseball
I
had a
don't know.
perfect opportunity to be a distraction, but they were too busy fighting over money. That allowed NASCAR to step in and be the first major U.S. sport to return. We limped towards the end of May as the market continued to grind higher. And then in Minnesota, a terrible thing happened. On May 25th, that was the day that George Floyd was
Minneapolis,
killed.
George
It was like throwing a
Floyd's
match on
death
a
in
mound of
Minneapolis,
gunpowder. Protesting began
Minnesota.
nationwide. Some were peaceful, others saw businesses and lives destroyed. Tensions were high nationwide as we rolled into June. By June 5th, the sea of Democratic nominees had been pared down to just one winner, Joe Biden. The election would be between Trump and, hey, he's not Trump. The TV show Cops is canceled, and Davey Day Trader is ruling the markets. He can do no wrong with the mantra, stocks only go up. A huge wave of young day traders falling behind him, signing up for Robinhood accounts and not paying attention during their Zoom classes. Hertz files for bankruptcy, and the stock goes parabolic as money flies in because it doesn't cost much to buy a share. Nikola Motors gets dubbed the next Tesla, and the stock jumps on an exponential curve. CEO Trevor Milton becomes a billionaire. Even though the company only has around $30,000 in revenue, none of which came from selling cars, but they were selling hopes and dreams, I guess. Nikola is the headliner of a wave of SPACs in 2020. Those are blank check companies. Chamath Palihapitiya started an infinite number of SPACs during the year. Billy Beane quit baseball to start them, and even politician Paul Ryan jumped in on that. COVID cases passed 10 million worldwide, and the market continues to go up as people start arguing what kind of recovery we're having. Is it a U? Is it a V? A W? A K? I don't think we ever really settled on it. That's when we got to July. A second virus with quote-unquote pandemic potential is found in China. Kanye West showed his patriotism on July 4th by announcing his run for presidency. Investment bankers everywhere
But he didn't succeed.
And then a copy of Super Mario Brothers sells for $114,000. Don't worry, keep shooting, Jerome. No
What?
signs of inflation here. The Washington football
For
team
Mario
becomes
Gate?
the Washington football team.
For the
Alabama elects a
Atari version?
Senate because they're
Hell no.
Alabama. A new video of the George Floyd killing is released, throwing more gas on the fire and upping protests nationwide. Twitter gets hacked by what turns out to be a 17-year-old kid in Florida, and everyone from Elon Musk to Barack Obama to Bill Gates is asking for Bitcoin. The scheme netted a little over 100,000. Instead, he
Yeah,
could have just
and
bought
protesting
Dogecoin.
during
Dogecoin was a
the
valueless
pandemic is
cryptocurrency
just like
created as a joke.
unsafe.
Overlap between people
So
buying
that
bankrupt
just-
companies
that
and
just
Dogecoin is probably a
made
perfect
people more
circle
sick.
as the price continues to skyrocket from viral TikTok videos. Home prices go bonkers, fueled by low rates and the fact that nobody's willing to move during a global pandemic. Tesla reports a profit not because they sold cars, but because they sold carbon credits to other car
It's
companies.
kind of hard
Tech CEOs
to-
get a Zoom meeting invite to go before Congress, and that's where they had to sell Congress on
Amazon.
why their businesses really aren't that good. By the end of the month, the NBA season starts up again in a figurative bubble. NBA player
It's
Ray
crazy
Sean
how
Holmes
this
doesn't care so
one
much for
virus
the
that
bubble, he's
China
busted
didn't
ordering
inform
to build a delivery
America
service,
about
Postmates.
is
Uber
taking
apparently
over our
hears about
world,
this
bro.
and decides to buy Postmates as well. They bought the whole company. By the time we get into August, we're used to seeing the market jumping all over the place. On the 1st, Trump decides to slap a 10% tariff on all Chinese imports. The market immediately falls 1%. Soon after, Trump doubles down
Yeah, he
by
paid
accusing
China-
manipulating its
He
currency.
paid China
Collateral
enough
damage,
money
Trump
for
signs
them
an
to deal
executive
with
order to ban apps,
the
TikTok and
problems.
WeChat. The next day, 2 people in China die from the bubonic plague. I am not kidding. Remember that photo company Kodak? Yeah, they got awarded a $765 million contract to make pharmaceuticals. Oh, you didn't know they made pharmaceuticals? Yeah, I mean, they don't, but hey, it's 2020, so why not? August is also when we saw the Lebanese city of Beirut explode. McDonald's sues a former CEO for sleeping with employees. The Big Ten and Pac-12 cancel their football seasons. The yield curve inverts, predicting a recession. I mean, yeah, no kidding. Yield
Pretty
curve.
much
The
closing
Postal
everything.
Service struggles to get everybody their mail.
Everything's out of
Not one,
biz.
but two hurricanes are brewing in the Gulf of Mexico. Marco and Laura are not a happy.
It's the worst
couple.
year
And then Amazon gets
that we
cleared by
never
the
forget.
FAA to fly drones. Let's check in on those protests. Yep, still going on as we get to September. A third hurricane comes in as California catches on fire. TikTok and WeChat now can't be downloaded.
The
unless
Bay
they're sold.
Area caught
Instead
on
of selling,
fire.
TikTok decides to use Oracle. Walmart's there too for some reason, and Trump says it's all okay. Then a skateboarder named Dogface just vibes with some cranberry juice. Microsoft was snubbed in the TikTok deal, thinking they were going to get the fastest growing social media app for pennies on the dollar, so they take their frustrations out by buying ZenMax Media for $7.5 billion. Nvidia buys Chinese mobile chip company ARM for $40 billion. The airlines get yet another $25 billion by the end of the month. Big Ten and Pac-12 decide they are going to play football, and we have our much anticipated first presidential debate. This is kind of how it sounded.
Much lower price because
by the way, he doesn't know how. He doesn't know how to do that. He has never.
They keep cutting each other off during the debate. You can't even
For the first time since March, the market closed.
You can't even
down lower
understand
than
a
the
single
month
thing
before. We're still at near all-time
that they're
highs.
trying to say.
October first saw the worst tech glitch in the Tokyo Stock Exchange history, and the market had to be halted. Ireland starts taxing Subway because their bread wasn't bread enough, and a Mao Zedong poem that had been stolen was found. It was valued at $300 million before it was cut in half by the thief so it would fit on a wall. Trump gets COVID but beats it in a couple days and says it shouldn't dominate your life. Despacito hit 7 billion views on YouTube, making it the most watched video ever. A fly possibly ends.
Nah, it's not the most watched video ever.
Republicans fight over stimulus, but nothing is passed.
It's something
Yeah,
else.
$1,200 is enough.
I forgot what
the
it
Lakers
was.
win the NBA Finals and nobody really watches. Apple says 5G is finally here.
7.7 billion for another video. I forgot what it's called.
Election day when Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg passes away. This opens a short window for new justice to be appointed, and Republicans rush to get Amy Coney Barrett confirmed. Congratulations, you made it to November. Baby Shark overtakes Despacito as the most watched video.
Yeah, that's big.
You'll
Baby
see a
Shark's the
record
most
turnout on
viewed.
Election day. Initially, the votes heavily favor incumbent Trump, but as the night wears on and mail-in votes get counted, it swings towards Biden. Trump begins claiming election fraud. Twitter adds a team dedicated to flag Trump's tweets. Despite everything going on, we hit an all-time high on the Dow.
Yeah, you can't be
9th,
saying
and then
stuff
closed
like
above
that once the
30,000
new
for the first time in history on November
president
24th.
wins.
This was on
Once
the
they
back
get in
of
office,
Pfizer
you can't
claiming they
be
had a vaccine for
ranting on them.
coronavirus that was 90% effective. Not to be outdone, Moderna comes out a week later with a 94.5% effective vaccine. Pfizer then bumps up their number to 95. Amazon starts a pharmacy because they're Amazon, why not? We see more protests, this time because Trump supporters are protesting the election. Rudy Giuliani gives a speech from a line maintenance parking lot,
Yeah.
and then outdoes himself a few days later.
They're
as
even
hair
giving
dye
out
runs
threats
down
to
his face.
Biden
Cases are
supporters.
spiking around the world as we're heading into the Thanksgiving holiday. Meanwhile, Elon Musk becomes the second richest person in the world as Tesla's shares soar. Charlie D'Amelio hits 100 million followers on TikTok just before we
Oh,
get
heck
to December. In
heck
December,
no.
Salesforce decides
No
to
one
buy
wants.
Slack,
No
and
one
IPOs
wants to see
go
shit
bonkers.
from her.
You remember how Bitcoin had crashed to like $4,000? Yeah, it's at all-time highs now. Turns out Jerome's money cannon has been good for it. And then in December, we also see the vaccine begin to be distributed, so hopefully we're nearing the end of the pandemic. That was a lot to get through. And we're only a couple weeks into December at the time I'm recording this, so knock on wood, nothing else major happened in the last couple weeks. But by making it to this point in the video, you do get to find out about the giveaway. In honor of 2020, we're giving away a model of the model Nikola Tray. All you have to do to enter the giveaway is leave a comment down below of the best thing that happened to you in 2020. Let's keep the comments positive. I think we all need it at this point. Now, you don't have to be a subscriber to win the giveaway, but we are taking subscriptions at the moment, so make sure you hit that subscribe and notification bell if you want to see future videos like these. Really hope that 2021 treats us better than 2020 did. But until next time, my name is Dustin. Look forward to seeing
Yeah, 2021 is not gonna treat us better. I doubt it. But yeah, guys. Quick thing before I end off the video. Like, all this happened because of the corona bullcrap that China wouldn't inform the U.S. and other countries that they would have to shut down their country. If they literally said something about this, none of this would have happened. Nothing would have went bankrupt. No one would have been in debt. And like, America's important to us, so like, we need to like keep our economy going. Yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed the reaction video. You probably won't if you're not interested in what's going on around in the world. You'd probably leave a dislike because you don't want to see this. Well, you should. It'll teach you something about the world. Alright, guys. So, this was a recap on the worst year ever. The worst year ever. And don't have anything else to say. Be sure to subscribe, and I'm out. Take care.